Trey Nitty.
Let's get started, man. So this is what we're going to do. Our conversation tonight is around empowering our community. These brothers up here on the panel have some voice in that, so we want them to introduce themselves, and then we're going to have a Q&A where you all can ask questions of the panel. But also, if there's brothers in here that have done work, like the brother over here, I heard you do some real estate and stuff like that. That has some impact on the community as well. If you want to share, that's cool. But again, the idea in here is that we're sharing with each other so that we can learn together, build together, and be in our rightful place in the world. Everybody cool with that? All right, so we'll start with, we'll have our first introduction, and then we'll just move the mic down the way. Everybody give a quick 90 seconds introduction of yourselves and where you're at in the space.
Project manager for the Black Man Lab, and it feels really good because I know I can do a lot, and I know a lot of other people in the community, and it feels good being able to connect brothers together, and I like that opportunity, and I like growing, and I like building.
My name is Bob Johnson. I am director of a nonprofit organization. Other than that, I'm just pretty much an advocate of the community and a community leader. I mean, a community member, you know, and as being a community member, which all of us are, we're all leaders some kind of way or another. So, you know, that's pretty much it.
My name is DC. I'm the owner of Mix 106 Radio here in Atlanta, the only black-owned political talk radio station in the state of Georgia. And I'm also the owner of ProClay Real Estate here in Atlanta, Georgia. We do development, wholesaling. We teach brothers how to eat every day. And I'm a member here at the Black Man's Lab.
Good evening. My name is T. Jamal Lee. I am a financial advisor with Oladele Financial. Oladele means wealth has come home in Yoruba. I'm also the director of a nonprofit called African Unity Initiative, and I'm also the chairman of the Young Entrepreneurs Collaborative for the Atlanta Black Chambers.
Familiar voice, Baba Jihad. So I guess entrepreneur and spiritual consultant. I took that on now.
I'll say, what has been the biggest challenge so far in your role within community and how you build?
Thinking I can do it all, and it's because I want to give, I like to share, I want to be able to help, and next thing you know, you're burnt out and tired. The main things on your list that you didn't write down because I was supposed to write them down, but I was too busy running around. Now I'm tired. I'm like, no, I'll do it later. But now I haven't used my calendar for a day and a half, and now I'm feeling overwhelmed and unstimulated or like overstimulated. And I'm like, let me figure out where my time is going, what I'm doing. So I would say my biggest thing is sometimes having to say no, because you know you want to help. Maybe I don't have the bread to give, so I hurt saying no to that. Or, man, I really want to do something, but I already have prior engagement at that time. So, like, having to tell them no when you want to help. And that's probably been one of the things that I struggled with. And what's helped me with that is having that calendar and knowing that, hey, it's not because I don't want to do it. It's just because I have something else at this time. Please keep me in mind for other events that you got going on, because I do want to support and help. And even outside of that, we'll just talk and build and create that relationship. So it's not I'm saying no to you. I'm saying no to that opportunity. And that way the relationship is still there and you don't feel overwhelmed, overburdened, burnt out, and things of that nature.
Biggest challenge, I would agree and say that organization, being organized. And like me, myself, you know, just speaking for myself, I keep a lot of stuff in my head. And I move with my spirit. And a lot of times it's just impulse, you know, it's like not a plan for me, the way I do things. And doing things like that, you know, I made a lot of accomplishments and have been successful in creating things, but I also create a lot of mess by not being organized. Like I might have 3 meetings at the same time on different sides of town, and find out when it's time to go to the meeting that I've done overbooked myself, because lack of organization. So I would say, especially, when you're starting out with something and it may be on a smaller level and you get used to doing things a certain kind of way, as time goes on, those things build up and they can really build up, be careful what you ask for, type of situation, and things can get so busy that it's really easy to do things like that. So organization is very important, and that's something I'm challenged with and even working on right now at this point. So I would say, whatever you're doing, find out how to just really organize yourself from the beginning, and it's going to save you a lot of headache.
But my biggest hurdle is wasting a lot of time trying to get people that look like me to get it. When I first started in radio, I didn't know this, but 99% of black-owned businesses don't advertise. They don't spend $1 in their business to let you know that they're in business. And what we know is advertising works. You follow what I'm saying? And if you advertise enough, it is embedded in your brain, where if you over 25 years old in this room, who's over 25? If I said plop, plop, fizz, fizz, oh, what a relief it is, you would say that's an advertisement for what?
Yes.
Alka-Seltzer. You hadn't heard that in 20 years, but they did it so much that it's embedded in your brain. And if you're over 35, if I said, who's over 35 in here? If I said my baloney has a first name, it's Oscar. If my baloney has a second name, who am I talking about?
Oscar Mike.
You hadn't heard that commercial in 100 years, but it's embedded in your brain. It was the hardest thing for me, and still is to this day, to get our people to understand the other guy's not better than you. He's not better than you. The reason why he's dominating in your markets, on your streets where your people live and dwell, he prices his stuff where they'll buy it, right? He advertises where they'll see it, right? And he's on time consistently. If it's 11 o'clock for the doors to open, they open at 11. And if it's 12 o'clock for them to close at night, they close at 12 o'clock. And it took me forever, and I've been in radio now, this will be my 8th year, to just get some of our people to understand that we're the reasons that we're not being successful in our own markets.
One of the biggest hurdles that I have to overcome in community development, which is what I do through my nonprofit, is consistency. So my community development arm of African Unity Initiative is called Bringing the Neighbor Back to the Hood campaign, because we get so comfortable calling where we come from, our underprivileged neighborhoods, the hood, but it's derived from the word neighborhood. We just take the whole neighbor thing out. So the program, we do what we call community assessment meetings, and when we first come into a community, there's a lot of excitement, there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of, overcommitments, right? And people allow themselves to burn out, or real life gets in the way and people start to disappear and you can't find them. And it's like, what happened? And we can't be consistent enough to show up for ourselves, but we show up for other people. And like, we'll show up to that man's job down the street, but what's going on in your community, what you addressed as the problem in your backyard, you can't show up for. You can't show up for your own children. You can't show up for the PTAs. You can't show up for these things. And it doesn't make any sense, and it just spirals out of control into the chaos that we see in our communities.
My main issue is caring. And because I care and I know is scary. Our situation is scary. I went 3 places today. In each place in our neighborhood I went, were foreigners working. No brothers. On the lines, on the streets, digging the holes, and in a building doing some construction. If we don't change, if we don't create a culture, a new culture, that tells us to do the things each one of these brothers talk about, we're in trouble. Dr. Claude Anderson said, for 20 years ago, that we will become a permanent underclass. We'll be laughing and happy and partying, but we're damn sure we'll be the underclass. We'll be the last people thought about in this culture, in this world that we live. So my issue is I care. I find myself caring. I can't say too much, but I care a lot, and it doesn't allow me I'm not comfortable. I'm not happy with what I see and what you see. You see it too, and I'm not happy about it, and it's scary. Seriously, it's super scary.
The title of what we're discussing tonight is empowering our community, right? So just people out and you guys, share with us ways that you think that we can empower our community. Let's have a quick exercise. I'm going to step away from what we normally do. Talk about some ways. What are some ways we can empower our community?
What we do is we've missed out on the opportunity to empower our community through continuing to run the businesses within the communities. Brother Jihad was talking about earlier. He was in a couple of places where you didn't see black people on the lines wherever he was. My father couldn't expand his contracting business of building houses because we had young black men in the community who would not work in construction consistently. We're not dedicated to the trades. And so we will talk about the Hispanics and other people being in the community, but we got brothers who are in the community who are not employed, who do not have the wherewithal to work in those jobs. And so we've got to take ownership of what we're not doing, because it's inexcusable, in my opinion, for a man not to work when there's opportunity to work and you're able to work.
I believe it's imperative that we understand the relationship between our gut health and our mental health. A lot of black men are struggling with mental health, and it's due to what we're eating. We need to know the right foods to eat. We need to know, just like how people know these brands, we need to know the minerals that's in our food. We need to know what magnesium is. We need to know what calcium, selenium, copper. We need to know what these things are doing, because that's the key to mental health.
From 1865 to 1920, to the 1920s. And in every state, there's not a state on the map that black people that were freed in 1865 went off to places. They didn't have college degrees in 1865 because they didn't have black colleges. And within 7 to 10 years, they were building stuff. Okay. And what I challenge us to say is, how dare we allow our ancestors who came from chattel slavery and from chains, and within 10 years, they had enough wherewithal to themselves to say to white folks and everybody else, I don't need you to build a life for me and my freedom. We have to get back to a want to and a will to do for us. That's right. A want to and a will to. The trades you talked about. If you learn the trades, you'll never have to work for white folks. If you learn to put on a roof, or you learn to put down sheetrock, if you learn how to paint, if you learn how to put down concrete and build bricks and frames and stuff like that, you'll never have to worry about ever needing white folks no more. So you got to think in terms of your freedom from him, because he's putting you back in a situation where they want to put their foot on your neck.
So we have to change the culture. It's foolish of us to think that we're going to listen to and I'm just going to mention the music industry or whatever, and that message is coming to us like this, and we think we're going to get a different result. These people create cultures. They create environments. They create mindsets. We also have the capacity to do the same. But if we don't change the culture, right, and that requires us, I think someone mentioned repeating stuff earlier in this conversation, a message being constantly repeated over. I'm tired of hearing that about y'all. No, you ain't tired because we ain't doing it. We have to put it in our music. We have to put it in our conversation. We have to put it in our entertainment. We have to put it in our heart. And I don't care if people get tired of hearing it every day. We have to say it until it changes, because all we're doing is reliving or living the culture that they put out here. If you don't believe me, just listen to what we listen to. Listen to the advertising. Listen to the music. Look at the movies, and you see all we're doing is imitating what the hell they put out there. So if we take responsibility and put positive stuff out there, the message that we want out there, right? Brother has a tire shop, right? We should, if we commit just in this room to have our family and us go to that tire shop, within a year he'll be able to increase his tire shop. You'll see shiny stuff out the window. You see more people. You see more employees. It's not superstitious. I mean, it's not rocket scientist how you do this thing. You just do it.
For the brother that runs that owns a tire shop, I'm gonna ask, can we link you with a sister and brother from here who are from Liberia, where the actual rubber tree comes from? Like, if we're gonna be in it, can we get all the way in it? Since we talk about empowerment, right? If we're gonna be in it, can we get in it from the ground and not be dealing with a middleman? Right? And I'm not saying assuming that you have to deal with a middleman, but I'm saying as we build for our communities, how does that really look? Kibiro, stand up. This brother right here is from Kenya, okay? Through the lab, we've been able to connect with people in Kenya who getting tea out of the ground, who make shoes themselves, who make soccer balls, right? And we going directly to them. So all I'm saying is creating the industries that you want to see. Number one, knowing that like Baba Jihad said, it's not rocket science. But if we get off our phones and stop scrolling on watching other people go nowhere, because that's what we do. We spend countless hours scrolling, watching other people go nowhere until we, employ the discipline to be intentional about what am I passionate about and how can I get to the root of starting something that I'm passionate about. If it's plumbing, how can I source the materials to be a plumber myself? Where can I source the materials from our people myself if I'm an electrician? Home Depot got plenty of money. Lowe's got plenty of money. And I ain't saying we don't have to start there. I'm just saying our mindset, because as y'all heard the panelists say, it starts in our mind. As Marty said, it starts in our mind. What are we doing from the ground, from the natural resources that God put here? What are we creating from that? And if we go and attack it from that, then I think we can start to make some headway.
Craftsman, and he was saying that there was a time in this country when black people were 5 to 1, the craftsmen in this country. We're talking about carpenters, builders, 5 to 1. To every white person in the field, there were 5 of us doing this work. And so looking back on that, if we need to come together and build, given the resources in this room, we often say wherever our problem is, or wherever our challenge is, the answer is in this room. And what I'm hearing is what DC is saying, he's got access to properties as a wholesaler. I hear we got plumbers, we got carpenters, we got brothers in this room that can do the work. We've got investors in real estate that can acquire the property so that we can put ourselves to work and build a building or renovate a building under the umbrella of Black Man Lab. There's no reason why we cannot do that. pulling capital, pooling resources, pooling skills. So we need to come together and seriously make that happen because time is short. So I put that challenge out for us to take action and be able to say that on this day, February 3rd, 2025, the seed was planted for Black Man Lab to get some property and build.
I mean, how many times have we heard "we" tonight? Quite a bit, right? We instead of me. You know, we keep saying what we can do, and really, that's the answer to empowerment. It's a we thing. It's not a me thing. I'm pretty good. I can do some stuff, but there's nothing that we can't do. Working collectively together, and what I remember from my youth and growing up in a community was where everyone pretty much knew each other. And in my, when I was y'all's age, like you young men right in front right there, and this brother over here was talking about civil rights and what was going on during some of the worst times, some of the worst atrocities ever inflicted against a people. That's what we have survived. And I seen that. I lived in a community where you couldn't go over here, couldn't go over there. I experienced that, where your name was nigga, where you could get hung up, strung up, just picked up, mistreated, any kind of way, denied, all of that. And civil rights, however we look at that, kind of exposed a lot of that. When King was marching, you could see that on TV, dogs, water hoses, all of that experience that we've been through. But what I really remember about the community that I came up in, everybody knew each other, man, and everybody was connected. Unity, that word unity, that's what we missing. Like right now, just community, man, like caring about each other and really getting to know each other. How many times have we passed by brothers and sisters on the street and not even say hello? Don't even look at them. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to get too long-winded on that, but, man, we got to love ourselves, number one, because we've been taught to hate ourselves, and we got to love each other, and we got to support each other fully.